Hi, my name is Scott Gamble. This video today is about kinesiology, kinetic muscle testing for truth. And I'm currently in a boat on Merrill Lake, British Columbia. It's about 6 miles south of Sicamous, and it's a beautiful autumn day, October 7th. So the findings from kinetic muscle testing speak to an inherent, innate ability in each of us, our bodies, including any organism on earth, to ascertain truth. The power to recognize truth from falsehood. I was first exposed to muscle testing about 10 years ago watching a TV special by Dr. Wayne Dyer. In that special, he references this book, Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins. Well, I was truly amazed by what I saw and heard, and I went and got the book and set about to do some of the testing. But I found it sort of faded for me at that point, and I believe now that my own conscious level at that time wasn't such that I could fully comprehend the potential of using this technique in daily life. It was only about a year ago when I started working on these designs for my website that a really good friend of mine suggested I actually test the power of the designs using the technique. So at that point, something really clicked for me, and I've been using it ever since, and thus I want to pass this along. So I'd just like, before I go any further, to read a passage in Dr. Hawkins' words. The research reflected in this volume has taken Diamond's, this is Dr. Diamond, who's a pioneer in this field, Diamond's technique several steps further through the discovery that this kinesiologic response reflects the human organism's capacity to differentiate not only positive from negative stimuli, but also anabolic, life-threatening, from catabolic, life-consuming, and most dramatically, truth from falsity. The test itself is simple, rapid, and relatively foolproof. A positive muscle reaction occurs in a response to a statement that is obviously true. A negative response occurs if the test subject is presented with a false statement. This phenomenon occurs independently of the test subject's own opinion or knowledge of the topic, and the response has proven cross-culturally valid in any population and consistent over time. This technique provides, for the first time in human history, an objective basis for distinguishing truth from falsehood, which is totally verifiable across time with randomly selected, naive test subjects. Moreover, we found that this testable phenomenon can be used to calibrate human levels of consciousness so that an arbitrary logarithmic scale of whole numbers emerges, stratifying in the relative power of levels of consciousness in all areas of human experience. Exhaustive investigation has resulted in the calibrated scale of consciousness in which the log of whole numbers from 1 to 1,000 calibrates the degree of power of all possible levels of human awareness. The testing technique. To begin the testing procedure, 2 people are required. One acts as a test subject by holding one arm out laterally, parallel to the ground. The second person then presses firmly with 2 fingers, sorry, I lost my place, on the wrist of the extended arm and says, "Resist." The subject then resists the downward pressure with all his or her strength. And that's all there is to it. A statement may be made by either party. While the subject holds it in mind, his or her arm strength is tested by the tester's downward pressure. If the statement is negative, false, or reflects a calibration below 200, the test subject will go weak. Their arm will fall. If the answer is yes, or calibrates over 200, they will stay strong. Now this is fascinating, right? However, it's not practical for most people in daily life because he outlines a test requiring 2 people. So I was thinking, well, there must be a way to do this as a single person. And of course, yeah. So I went on YouTube, and thousands of people are already doing this. So I learned from them, and I am grateful and passing along to you. So the one that, there's several things that I saw, but the one that I ended up using full time is the ring finger one. So you have your thumb and pinky connected. The other pinky comes in and tries to pull through. So a positive, you make a statement, we'll go over this in a second, but a positive will retain the ring and a negative will pull through. Now here's the key. It has to be a statement that you make. It can't be a question, and it really shouldn't have negatives in it like don't or won't. And because this thing works for the whole world, for any organism on Earth, it doesn't care about language or syntax or any of that stuff. The statement is intended to generate a feeling inside you, and that is what is testable. And that's what this responds to. So, for instance, an example would be you go into a supermarket and you stand in front of a product. And granted, you know, there's not tons of things in the supermarket that are healthy, but stand in front of it, focus on it, and then you say, this product is good for me. So that would be yes, this product is good for me. That would be a no. And for me, it took about a week of doing this a lot. Actually, my fingers got sore, but I was able to really feel that the result I was getting was the truth. Because sometimes I'd have a false pole or anything like that. So that's that. But I'm going to end up this video by testing a few items for you. And these are directly related. Two of them are directly related to my website. This first one, however, was a birthday present that I received. It's just a shirt with says peace, and it's kind of a tribal design. So we're going to test this. I'm just going to move the camera here. I think I'll move in here. Okay. Stretch my legs out. Oh, it's higher. Okay. So we have this in front of us, so I'm now focusing. I'm pushing away any other information coming to me. The power of this design is 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 500. So 510, 520, 530. So I got a reading of 530 on that. Now this is the cool part about the technique, is that you can do calibrations of things. It's not just, you know, the yes you have to do a yes or no, but you can build on that to actually gain a wider picture. Grab the next item. So this is a design that I'm using as actually the logo for my company. And it was one of the first things that, when I set out on this endeavor, it's one of the first things that I came up with. Let's test the power of this design. Hope you can see it. Let's do it that way. The power of this design is 200, 300, 400, 500. I'm really pulling here. 600, 700, 800, 900. So pulls through there. So 850, 860. So it comes in about 850. And I've done this, you know, I've tested this particular design about 50 times, and I get the same result every time. And that's the cool thing about this technique. It does not waver. It doesn't waver with my mood. It doesn't waver with my opinion or anybody else's. Okay, now we have something interesting. This is one of the designs that I came up for my pendants. So I'm going to also release, along with shirts, brass pendants. And for these ones, I filled out a whole page. Let's do it this way. So for these, I filled out a whole page and then just picked the ones that I felt were the strongest. Okay, we're going to test this one. I'm going to point the camera down again. The power of this design is 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. Okay, so I pulled strong all the way to 1,000. Now when this, put the camera up. When this first happened, I thought I made a mistake, and I couldn't believe it. I'm going, well, this can't be. But then I started thinking, and I realized that, yeah, 1,000 is, and I've since tested it, 1,000 is the highest rating that we can get as in physical reality as people. But once we leave our bodies, once we leave this reality, obviously consciousness levels go up. And I would venture to say that with the infinite nature of the universe itself, I would say consciousness levels are infinite. And, well, I can test it. The levels of consciousness in existence are infinite. So I'm pulling, I got a positive. So, you know, it's hard to fit these into daily life when you come up with these really big yeses on big ideas. But I think it is possible over time to come at things from different angles and gain a broader picture of what the real truth is. But for myself, I love to think that that's the truth. And of course, we know that, you know, that's not tainting my result. It's just, I don't know, I think it's great. So with that in mind, we're going to keep testing this beyond 1,000. So I thought, instead of ending at 1,000, why don't we go to infinity? And it's not, I'm not stretching the scale, I'm merely adding more to the end of it. Let's test again. Okay, so we know we went to 1,000. We're going to start at 1,000. This design, the power of this design is 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Okay, 4,200. Oh, sorry, 40,200. I don't know. I can't. Anyway, you get the picture. You know, I can spend another few minutes honing right in on it, but the bottom line is that these things are coming through and they contain a level of power of consciousness that is higher than we can achieve. So I'm working on what that means, but I'm really excited, and when this stuff comes through me, it's incredibly joyful. And I do believe it has some sort of meaning that I haven't ascertained yet. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to do another video on practical yes and no testing that you can use every day, and how it also relates to things like the people in your life. It's endless. So I'm just setting off on a new journey, and I'm really excited. Thanks for watching.